Now we're starting a very interesting topic, that is the sums under customs law. Before we start the sums, we need to know a certain background from where these sums are formulated and where do they derive the provisions from. Okay, so we start off from understanding the different duties under customs law, that is your different types of duties. Now the types of duties are primarily given in your Customs Tariff Act. Custom Tariff Act is a act which provides you the tariff. Tariff simply means the rates or the amounts. Now we know that the Customs Tariff Act has two schedules, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. When I'm importing the goods and I want to know what is the tariff on imported goods, then I have to go on to the import tariff. If I want to see if I'm exporting the goods and I want to know how much rate is applicable to the exports, I'll go into the export tariff. Now all goods, whenever they are imported, exported, has a certain code with them. That code is derived from the HSN code. It is also called as the HSN code, Harmonized System of Nomenclature. Now what is that exactly? It is actually a software internationally used to code or to define certain products, to give code to certain products. So it is a internationally accepted product coding system. Okay, it is formulated under the GATS. It was adopted with 8-digit coding system. Now when you go to see the rates are actually divided in two parts. So when you go to see the Customs Tariff Act, and if I go in the first schedule, I would get the import tariff. यहाँ तक clear? Simple. ना इम्पोर्ट टैरिफ में जो भी डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ गुड्स यहाँ पे लिखेंगे, डिस्क्रिप्शन HSN कोड यहाँ पे लिखा होगा, यहाँ पे डिस्क्रिप्शन दे विल एक्सप्लेन व्हाट काइंड ऑफ गुड्स इट इज, मे बी लैपटॉप, मोबाइल फोन, और काइंड ऑफ प्लास्टिक टॉय, एक्सेट्रा, डिस्क्रिप्शन, एंड देन द रेट्स विल बी गिवन. बट द रेट्स आर जनरली इन टू काइंड्स. वन इज द स्टैंडर्ड रेट एंड सेकेंड इज द प्रेफरेंशियल रेट. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? Standard rate applies to all the countries. Preferential rate applies to only certain countries which the government has said that we have good trade relations with them and we want to give them lesser duty applicable on them. So the tariff table provides two columns. One is the standard rate and the preferential rate. Some countries have been declared as preferential areas such as Mauritius, Seychelles, Tonga, etc. Goods imported from these countries are eligible to preferential rates. Okay, preferential rates are also given when we import from Bangladesh, from China, from Korea, from Sri Lanka under the Asia Pacific Trade Agreement. So obviously on basis of agreements between the countries, we can prefer certain countries over the other and give them certain added advantage. Okay, so if we just look at the CETA table and how does it look, so this is actually the Customs Tariff Act. Okay, that I've taken a screenshot from. Here they give you the tariff item and here this is the HSN code. Okay, this is the HSN code. So now the HSN code is here. This is the product codes. They will give you what kind of goods are we talking about. We are talking of coconuts and Brazilian nuts, cashew nuts. Okay, and these are the different subheads of it. Now rates दिए हैं यहाँ पे. Standard rates have been given, and for if you are in the preferential area then तुम्हारे ऊपर 70% नहीं लगेगा, 60% लगेगा. तो ऐसे अलग अलग preferential rates दे सकते हैं. I hope this is clear as of now. When we go ahead, okay, further we come to know that the duties can be divided in two heads. One is your statutory duties and second is your notification based duties. Statutory duties means what? These are applicable in all cases and it is in the normal route. So this, when we are doing the sums, okay, when we are doing the sums, we are going to use the statutory duties. So they have given you a certain format to compute your custom duty whenever you import the goods. So this is very important, and this almost every importer does the calculation in this format only. So they will come, what is the invoice value plus, you know, basic custom duty plus social welfare cess, okay, plus your certain taxes, which we will see all of this, IGST, etc. So they've given you a certain format. I'm calling it as the statutory duties. That is how you move ahead. Okay. This we will be doing in the later part. Then comes some notification based duties. Notification based duties means what? The government has issued a notification, and with this notification they are levying this duty. Here this is mentioned in the statute itself, in the act itself. This is conditional to a notification being issued. For example, we have something called as anti-dumping duties. Whenever the government feels that certain goods are being dumped into India, it will quickly issue a notification and say that these kinds of goods we should levy anti-dumping duty. Now, what is anti-dumping duty? What is countervailing duty? What is anti-subsidy duty? All of that we'll be doing. So we'll be first starting off with the notification based duties. I hope this is clear. Then we'll come to the ones which are actually used. So notification based could be for a certain purpose. So we are seeing here notification based duties. Notification based duties. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now notification based duty भी कस्टम टैरिफ एक्ट के अंदर दिया हुआ है सेक्शन 6 and 7 के अंदर. The first one that we are doing is called as your protective duty. Protective duty. Now protective duty is when we feel that our domestic industry needs to be protected. When I say domestic industry needs to be protected means what? Dealers in India. What if imported goods are imported and nobody is buying from the domestic dealers? So shouldn't the government of India have some rights to prohibit or levy some more tax on these imported goods? So sometimes our objective is not only to allow the concept of free trade. Free trade doesn't exist. Countries have preferences towards their domestic suppliers or domestic dealers as well. Whenever they feel that we are getting disadvantaged, we will quickly issue these kind of duties and try to get them at par so that our domestic suppliers sustain in the market. Okay, so it is called as protective duty. So whenever we feel that the domestic industry is getting affected with imports because everybody is importing, nobody is buying from them. So if the commission feels, the tariff commission, now it is important who has the right to issue this. Okay, so the tariff commission has been established under Tariff Commission Act 1951. If the tariff commission recommends and central government is satisfied that immediate action is required to protect the domestic industry, okay, then they will recommend and impose a duty called as protective duty under section number 6. Section 7 says protective duty shall be effective only up to and inclusive of the date specified, if any. For example, if they say that this duty will be levied for XYZ time period, so it will be only for that time period, then it will not continue. So it is a temporary relief that if we feel that we need emergency, what is it? Immediate action is needed. So can you tell me protective duty कौन recommend करता है? It is the Tariff Commission. It recommends to the central government, and then if the central government is satisfied that immediate action is needed to protect the domestic industry, it may impose a duty called as protective duty under section 6, and it will be in effect till the notification specifies that as it is given in section number 7. Okay, so very, very simple. Now this is not acceptable in the WTO since it favors the domestic industry and differentiate between domestic and imported goods. So ideally the World Trade Organization always encourages okay, free trade, that country should not interfere and let the import export happen on the normal course of business. They encourage that we should non-differentiation. We should not differentiate between imported goods and domestic goods and should not intervene in this way. But however, government of India and the world countries always keep a provision in case if they need, they will disregard free trade and then promote their own people. Okay, that is given your protective duty. Now can you tell me ये rights किसके पास था to protect the domestic industry? कौन recommend करता है? Tariff Commission. Section 8 भी वही है, but कौन recommend करेगा? Central government is empowered to impose safeguard duty. Okay, so safeguard duty is given in your section number 8B. Section 6 and 7 was protective duty. 8 is your safeguard duty. Safeguard duty क्या बोल रहा है? That the central government is empowered to impose safeguard duty. अब कब impose करेंगे? If the central government is satisfied that the goods are being imported in large quantities and such condition that they are threatening to cause a serious injury to the domestic industry. So if we feel that everybody is importing only, nobody is buying from the domestic industry, then again if we want to protect or safeguard the domestic industry, then here the power is given to the central government. ऊपर power दिया था to the tariff commission, so it can be recommended, it can be initiated only if the tariff commission has recommended. तो ऊपर वाला power is to the tariff commission, and second safeguard duty is a power given to the central government. तो काम वही है and it has certain conditions, but the power is given to the central government directly. No tariff commission is involved. Okay. Okay. Safeguard duty, unless it is revoked, will be for the till the expiry of 4 years from the date of its imposition. However, the central government may reserve the right of its extension, but the total imposition cannot be beyond 10 years from the date of imposition. Okay, and provisional duty can also be levied. Provisional means temporarily till the interim investigation is there. So provisional duty shall be in a force for a maximum 200 days only from the date of imposition. मतलब क्या? Imagine we are in the two minds. लगाए कि नहीं लगाए, लगाए कि नहीं लगाए. We are confused. So that time we will say till our investigations are completed, immediately levy it as provisional duty. Safeguard duty लगा दो on provisional basis. So therefore ये 200 days के ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकता because it is only a temporary thing. Then the government pass their final order and it can be in extension till 4 years. Then it can further be extended to a total of 10 years, not beyond that. Because this, all of this, whether it be protective duty or safeguard duty, it is against the principles of free trade and differentiation between import and exported goods, and not as per the WTO. Okay, so therefore it is a right used, but it will be very rarely used, it will be very sparingly used. अब हम लोग ने किया था section 6 and 7 was protective duty. Section 8B was what? 8 was about safeguard duty. Now we are coming to section number 9. Section 9 is called as countervailing duty on subsidized articles, which is also called as your anti-subsidy duty. Section number 9 of the Customs Tariff Act 1975. Now again, it's a very, very interesting scenario where what is happening, there is a country which is providing subsidy to its people so that they can sell at a very low cost. Subsidy होती क्या है? Subsidy is a monetary benefit given by a government to its people. So let's say if India है and let's say China and this is India. अब क्या हो रहा है कि चाइना started giving subsidy to its people, because of which the prices were at low cost, low prices हो गए, and because of this they are selling it in India and our domestic industry is getting affected due to subsidy given by that foreign country. ठीक है? So is this correct? Why do you think the country is giving a subsidy to its people? Because subsidy is a financial grant given. financial benefit given to the people, and they are saying go and take at less price, destroy their domestic industry. Now since it is a subsidy involved, then the government can take countermeasures कि कितना subsidy दे रही है आपको per product 10 rupees. So we will levy something called as an anti-subsidy duty, also called as countervailing duty, but under section 9 of the Customs Tariff Act. So we will counter your subsidy by levying an anti-subsidy duty equivalent to the subsidy amount. Means what? Can an anti-subsidy duty be levied of rupees 12 when the subsidy itself is of 10? Answer is no. The maximum anti-subsidy duty can be equal to the subsidy given. यहाँ तक clear? Because इसका object क्या है? To offset the losses caused, offset the damage caused due to the subsidy. So the provision of countervailing duty is on subsidized articles only. So if no subsidy is given, this section cannot be invoked. Is governed under section 9 of the Customs Tariff Act. The central government has the power. Now who has the power? The central government has the power to levy this duty on any imported articles when any country gives subsidy on such goods. अब generally you might think कि ऐसा क्या होता है, but China many times has to destroy our domestic industry in certain areas, and we have levied anti-subsidy duty. Such countervailing duty called as anti-subsidy duty cannot exceed the amount of such subsidy. This is also called as anti-subsidy duty. I hope this is super simple. So we did your section 6 and 7, section 7, section 8, section 9, and now we are doing section 9A. अब कौन सा कर रहे हैं? Section 9A, which is called as your anti-dumping duty. Anti-dumping duty is given in your section 9A. Anti-dumping, पहले dumping समझेंगे तो समझ में आएगा कि what is anti-dumping. Anyone knows what is the meaning of dumping? Dump करना मतलब क्या? Dumping means selling, okay, below the cost of production. It is selling below cost of production is a kind of a dumping. So imagine the cost of product, cost is rupees 10 and the selling price is rupees 8. Now worldwide भी वही होगा. अगर तुम if Indian manufacturers it is costing 10, let's say even in China it must be costing 10, and all over the world it is costing 10. Okay, now what is happening? You are making it for 10 and selling it for 8. This is called as predatory pricing or pricing. It's penetrating into the market. It's a technique to penetrate into the market. You are selling below the cost of production. So what is the dumping amount? कितने का dump हो रहा है? It is a difference between these two. So it is rupees 2. So what is the maximum amount of anti-dumping duty that I can levy? Anti-dumping duty that I can levy is equal to the dumping amount. It is equal to the amount of dumping only, that is rupees 2. तो ये जैसे तुमने dump किया, हम उसको उस measure को, because why will someone dump? We know the main reason is to destroy the market. Once the market is destroyed, they will then raise the prices. So predatory pricing is very common. You have to understand. See what Jio did. What Jio did to Airtel, Vodafone, Idea. ठीक है, क्या किया है इसने? Almost Airtel and all of that, now even Bharti Kumar Mangalam Birla, he exited from the post, and the price of Vodafone has dropped to below 40% in the last few days. So what is happening? Jio did dumping, yes or no? उनको cost तो हो रहा होगा, but they were 8 भी नहीं, they were giving free. Now is this allowed? Is this allowed? Answer is yes, it is perfectly allowed. That is why they could do it. बिकॉज बोथ आर इंडियन पार्टीज, एंड ये सब अंदर का मामला है. इट इज अ विद इन द डोज, इट इज विद इन इंडिया. But if this, it would be a Jio, would be a Chinese company, then anti-dumping duty would be levied. So dumping and anti-dumping is in case of international trade, not in national, within the national. So Customs Act only applies when the borders are being crossed. International trade. I hope this is clear. This was a domestic matter, so we cannot levy Customs Act because nothing is being imported, exported. When there's import export and some country is doing this, like what Jio did, what it would be a foreign company, then we would immediately get activated that what are you doing, you're trying to kill our domestic people. Whatever cost, whatever dumping you're doing, that much amount we'll add it up. इसमें भी सेम चीज है, अमाउंट ऑफ डंपिंग जितना ही तुम ड्यूटी लगा सकते हो उससे ज्यादा लगा दिया, इफ आई हैव लेवीड मोर देन द डंपिंग अमाउंट, देन आई हैव टू रिफंड टू द पर्टिकुलर पर्सन. So dumping is said to be done when a exporter exports product at a price less than what is available in his market or selling below the cost of production. So if he is selling below the cost of production or selling at a price which is lower than what is available in his market. For example, if he's a Chinese guy, in Chinese he can sell it for 10 rupees in his market. But still he's not selling for 10 and he's coming in India and selling for 8. So again we see that his intention is not to sell but to destroy. So अगर मेरे पास में यहाँ पे मैं 10 rupees में बेच सकता हूँ, if I can sell it for 10 rupees here, but I don't sell it for 10 here, I go in another country and sell for 6, then it will again be called as dumping. So dumping, two cases: if I'm selling below the cost of production or I'm selling at a price lower than what I can sell it in my market. In my market I can sell it for X amount, but I'm not selling it here and I'm going in another far off market and selling at a lower price. So government looks at this with a suspicious eye and they say ये क्या सीन है, आप below cost of production sell कर रहे हैं. What is the objective? Objective is nothing but to destroy. Once you're destroyed, they will rise the prices. So the central government has a power to levy anti-dumping duty on the dumped goods. However, the amount of dumping cannot exceed the margin of dumping. Refund of anti-dumping duty is given if you have levied more. Then, so these were some of the taxes, and one cess has been introduced in Finance Act 2020. One new cess has been introduced in Finance Act 2020. It is called as the health cess. It is levied on importers. So when I am importing goods, I'm an importer, a additional cess is being levied. So there will be a tax I will have to pay called as health cess. Now what is a cess? Cess जब भी होगा ना, it is nothing but a tax, but a tax levied for a specific purpose. It doesn't go in the consolidated fund of India. It goes in a specific account which it could be used for the specific purpose only. So health cess जब collect करेंगे ना, it will be used to develop the health infrastructure in India, like your building of hospitals, your improving the conditions of service that the hospitals gives, etc. So health cess is collected, means what? It is a tax collected from the importer. We will collect it and then whatever funds we get, health cess, we will use it in the healthcare sector. ठीक है. अब ये सब आर्टिकल्स पे नहीं लगता है, देखते हैं हम लोग किस पे लगता है. So it is imposed on health cess on import of medical equipment classified in the 4th schedule, and the main purpose, तो किस पे लगेगा ये? ऑन मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट क्या हो गया? आई एम कॉलिंग फॉर अ स्टेथोस्कोप और आई एम कॉलिंग फॉर सम मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट लाइक मे बी a nebulizer or a kind of oximeters, pulse oximeters, your diabetic equipments, could be anything, blood pressure checking equipments, any medical equipment, syringes, injections, etc. Okay, as it has been classified in the 4th schedule. Okay, we don't have to get into that, but the money, this health cess, the money that is collected on by levy of health cess will be used for financing health infrastructure and the related services. Salient features are below, that the rate will be 5% on the assessable value of the imported goods. Medical devices are exempt from basic custom duty, would not be subjected to health cess. तो अगर इसके ऊपर बेसिक कस्टम ड्यूटी नहीं लग रहा है, सर्टेन आर्टिकल्स विच गवर्नमेंट इज एग्जेम्प्टेड, जनरली कोविड-19 वैक्सीन रिलेटेड, इफ इट हैज बीन एग्जेम्प्टेड, देन अगर बेसिक कस्टम ड्यूटी नहीं लगा रहे तो हेल्थ सेस भी नहीं लगाएंगे. एंड हेल्थ क्रेडिट ऑफ हेल्थ सेस इज नॉट अवेलेबल टू द importer. So whatever tax he pays, he cannot take a credit of it. He cannot take credit, simply meaning a refund of it. So let's say he has exported it further, so ये सब का credit नहीं मिलेगा. He is further sold, so he will also collect the tax. He cannot take a set off. So we can say your ITC, input tax credit, because whatever tax paid on purchases का credit ले सकते dealers. ये सब का तुम नहीं ले सकते. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट्स से आई एम importing the goods, I pay taxes, all these taxes become my input tax. When I further sell, I will collect output tax on sales, let's say 300. Then I'll tell the government that boss, I have collected 300 but I have already paid 200 on my purchase. I have paid your 200 rupees. I have paid you 200 rupees on my purchases already. So I just have to pay you 100 rupees. So what did I do? I took a input tax credit. Set off ना, common sense है. अगर मैंने माल बेचा तो टैक्स कलेक्ट किया होगा. Will this collected amount I'll go and pay entirely to the government? I will tell the government, wait a minute. I have collected 300 rupees tax, I have to pay you 300 rupees. But earlier, I have already paid you certain tax. So that I'll take a credit. Let's say from here I came to know that 50 rupees was paid as health cess. 50 rupees was paid as health cess. Can I then take a credit of 200? Can health cess का credit ले सकते हैं? Answer is government is saying नहीं, तुम health cess का credit नहीं ले सकते हो. तुम कितना ले सकते हो? अभी उसका क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा तुमको, तुम दूसरे सारे टैक्सेस का क्रेडिट ले सकते हो. तो 50 रुपीज का ही रहेगा और 150 रुपीज मेरे को गवर्नमेंट को पे करना पड़ेगा. सो टैक्स पेड ऑन योर परचेजेस एज हेल्थ सेस, दैट क्रेडिट और बेनिफिट विल नॉट बी ग्रांटेड टू यू. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर टिल योर. सो दीज वर योर ड्यूटीज which are notification based or which have come through notifications, etc. Now we'll be doing your sums on which the calculations are done, which is precisely your statutory based duties. Now that we finish the notification based duty, now we'll be starting the statutory based duties. Okay, to get a base of the customs sums, you need to understand few provisions of customs law. First is your section 14, 15 and 16. Section 14 talks about the valuation of goods. How do you value your goods? So the valuation of goods, they are saying, will always be the transaction value. The valuation of the goods will be the transaction value. Now what do you mean by transaction value? How much are you ultimately paying to the person? So the buyer, what is he paying to the seller, to that person abroad? So that is the transaction value. This will be considered to be the value of the goods. और इसी value के ऊपर duty लगेगी, yes or no? So the value of imported goods or exported goods shall always be the transaction value. Now what do you mean by transaction value? What you have paid in the transaction. So the price paid or payable for the goods by the buyer to the seller when they are unrelated persons, because when it is unrelated only you will have a genuine price, because if they are related then again we will not trust the pricing, because if a related party is there involved then the price is not going to be a fair price. transaction value, then cannot be taken into consideration. And price is the sole consideration. When I say price is the sole consideration, means what? You have paid money and that's it, nothing else. So whatever money you have paid is considered to be the value of the goods. But if I say I'm giving you 10,000 rupees and 5,000 worth, I will give you some my services, then we cannot trust the transaction value. Transaction value is what the price the buyer pays to the seller. अब ये क्या है, ऐसा सब क्यों कर रहे हैं हम लोग, समझते हैं. Okay, let's understand that. Now, very simple. If I have to compute the custom duty payable, if I want to compute the custom duty payable, so I'm finding the calculate custom duty payable. Okay, now I am asking you all, how will you calculate the custom duty? Some person has bought goods worth rupees 1 lakh. So what you will first take 1 lakh rupees. So you will say what is the value of the goods. Value of goods loge ki nahi? If I am paying 1 lakh rupees, so custom duty will be levied on which amount? On the value of the goods. So this value is actually called as the transaction value. So if I have paid rupees 1 lakh rupees as for my laptop which I have imported, 1 lakh rupees. So this will be considered to be the transaction value. Since me and the seller are not related and 1 lakh rupees all that I have paid, price is the only consideration. I have not given any money's worth, any other kind of other benefit. अब एक बार ये 1 लाख रुपए मिल गया, then what you will do? You will levy the rate of custom duty. Rate of custom duty. Let's say you came to know the rate is 10%. So accordingly you will say that the custom duty payable is 10,000 rupees. I hope this is clear. So what do you need? You need two figures to compute the custom duty payable. You need the value, which as we did as per section number 14. As per section number 14 is the transaction value. It is the transaction value, that is how much the buyer is paying to the seller when they are unrelated and price is the sole consideration. And then second thing I need is the rate of custom duty. कि भाई rate कितना है, तब मैं ये rate will be applicable on the value. So rate is given in your section number 15. Rate is given in your section number 15. Now when I'm still on section 14 only. Section 14 said take the transaction value to be the price only when they are unrelated and price is the sole consideration. Because if that is violated, then we cannot trust the transaction value. We'll have to do some separate calculation. Next, iske andar, tell me, when I'm importing goods, you think that it would be in rupees, it will be denominated in rupees. If I'm importing a laptop from abroad, you think it will be denominated in rupees or in a foreign currency? What do you think? What is more common? Wouldn't it be denominated in your dollar form? Yes. So when you're importing goods, it is very much possible that the invoice value, contract price might be denominated in a foreign currency. So what you need to do, how will you compute how much custom duty I have to pay in rupee terms? I have to first convert this. ये जो भी है मुझे convert करना पड़ेगा into rupee terms. So I'll have to see what is the exchange rate. Exchange rate मुझे ढूंढना पड़ेगा. Okay, so exchange rate, I'll say if $1 is rupees 70. Okay, then I will find out in rupee value and then I will find the 10% and then I'll come to know how much custom duty is payable. I hope this is clear. If rupee term, you will move ahead quickly, but if it is in dollar term or it is in foreign currency term, you have to first convert it as per the respective exchange rate. अब क्वेश्चन आता है कि भाई ये एक्सचेंज रेट लेना कभी का है, यहां तक क्लियर? दिस इज कॉमन सेंस, यू विल कन्वर्ट इट इनटू रूपी टर्म्स एंड देन मूव फॉरवर्ड. सो एक्सचेंज रेट के ऊपर भी सेक्शन 14 में कुछ दिया हुआ है इन द प्रोविजो. व्हाट आर दे सेइंग? Provided the price shall be calculated with reference to the exchange rate in force when the bill of entry was presented. When the bill of entry जब फाइल कर रहे थे तभी का जो भी exchange rate था, that you will take into consideration. And यहाँ पे the rate of exchange means the rate determined by the board, that is CBIC. CBIC. So let me explain to you what are they trying to say. So firstly, the exchange rate might be, it keeps fluctuating, yes or no? Exchange rate keeps fluctuating, yes. So exchange rate कभी का लेना है जब भी मैं bill of entry फाइल करता हूँ ना, and the date of filing bill of entry, when the importer files a bill of entry, तभी का उस दिन पे मैंने कभी तो फाइल किया होगा, तो लेट्स से 22 मार्च 2021 को मैंने बिल ऑफ एंट्री फाइल किया, तो उस टाइम का एक्सचेंज रेट क्या है, दैट विल बी एप्लीकेबल टू दिस ट्रांजैक्शन. नाउ वन मोर इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इज दैट एक्सचेंज रेट, हु इशूज द एक्सचेंज रेट इन इंडिया? फॉरेन करेंसी रेट कौन इशू करता है? कैन यू टेल मी हु इज द कस्टोडियन ऑफ फॉरेन एक्सचेंज? सो आई एम श्योर यू मस्ट हैव सेड RBI, Reserve Bank of India. However, for import export, CBIC also issues certain exchange rates. So exchange rates are issued by RBI also, and for import export CBIC also issues. Now RBI का exchange rate है ना fluctuate होते रहता है, every minute it will keep fluctuating. So therefore the Central Board of Indirect and Customs, they issue generally on weekly basis that for this entire week this will be the exchange rate. So you don't have to go as per minute, second के हिसाब से जाना ही नहीं है. If you fall within that time zone, that will be the exchange rate. So if I tell you that the exchange rate given by RBI is rupees 69 and the exchange rate given by CBIC is rupees 70, which exchange rate will you consider and apply it in the transaction? It will be the one which has been issued by the board, Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs, and that is what is given in your section number 14 explanation. Rate of exchange means the rate of exchange determined by the CBIC and not RBI. So what? So एक word से तुमको law में इसका importance पता चलता है. तो section number 14 is first saying the value will be the transaction value. Now what is transaction value? It is a price paid or payable by the buyer to the seller when they are unrelated and price is the sole consideration. ये इसका प्रोविजन है. फिर उसका एक प्रोविजो दिया है, प्रोवाइडेड दैट, इट्स कॉल्ड एज अ प्रोविजो, तो वो भी पढ़ना है. प्रोविजो में बोला एक्सचेंज रेट ऑफ एक्सचेंज फॉरेन करेंसी का कभी का लेना है जिस दिन पे तुमने बिल ऑफ एंट्री फाइल किया था, डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग द बिल ऑफ एंट्री, दैट टाइम एक्सचेंज रेट यू विल take into consideration, and that time there might be two exchange rates, one by RBI and one by CBIC. So you will take it by the board. I hope this is clear. So don't worry, further when we move ahead you will have a much better clarity. Now एक तो ठीक था, हम लोग ने अभी क्या देखा, we did the valuation part, so you can be very rest assured that you will valuation part we finished, that is your section number 14. Section 14 is only applied when price is the sole consideration and parties are unrelated persons. If these two are violated, okay, or if I'm saying if the transaction is between related person or price is not the sole consideration, then I cannot take the transaction value, then I'll have to assess the value, for which they have given you Customs Valuation of Imported Goods Rules 2007, which we will be doing later on. If these two are violated, then we cannot go as per this, the transaction. Common sense है, मेरी sister है, sister के पास मेरा भाई है abroad, मेरा भाई मुझे बेच रहा है, my brother is sending me some goods, so he will not charge the normal rate, he will charge me a much concessional rate. So the government is not going to levy duty on the concessional rate. They will say then we can't trust your transaction value, we will have to apply some rules. So those rules also we will be doing आफ्टर सम टाइम. नाउ रेट भी अपना ये भी आ गया वैल्यूएशन. नाउ कमिंग टू सेक्शन नंबर 15. नाउ सेक्शन नंबर 15 talks about mostly about two cases. Okay, custom 15 is talking about the date to determine the rate. The date to determine the rate. यार रेट ऑफ कस्टम ड्यूटी, वैल्यू तो पता चल गया, हम लोग ने देखा था एक बार वैल्यू लगती है, वैल्यू के ऊपर क्या लगेगा, कस्टम ड्यूटी रेट. कस्टम ड्यूटी रेट, एक बार तुमने कस्टम ड्यूटी रेट लगा दिया इस वैल्यू के ऊपर, तुमको क्या मिलेगा, योर कस्टम ड्यूटी पेबल. आई होप दिस इज वेरी वेरी क्लियर. यस. अब वैल्यूएशन के लिए हम लोग ने देखा था सेक्शन नंबर 14. ओके, एंड ट्रांजैक्शन रेड विद द ट्रांजैक्शन वैल्यू रूल्स. नाउ कमिंग टू योर रेट. अब रेट में भी कंफ्यूजन हो सकता है, तो उसका भी गवर्नमेंट ने आंसर दे चुके हैं इन योर सेक्शन नंबर 15. सो आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट. दिस इज वेरी वेरी सिंपल. सेक्शन 15 इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द डेट फॉर रेट. समझते क्या है? ओके, देयर कैन बी टू सिनेरियोज. द फर्स्ट वन इज आई डायरेक्टली टेक द गुड्स फॉर होम कंजम्पशन. I directly take the goods to be sold in the domestic market and home consumption. Okay, if the goods are going, so this is the first scenario, if the goods have been imported and has been directly taken into the market to be sold, so then the rate will be, तो यहाँ पे date of filing bill of entry, bill of एंट्री, इस दिन पे जो भी रेट एप्लीकेबल था, द डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग बिल ऑफ एंट्री, आई विल कम टू नो इट वाज 2 March 2021. ऑन दिस डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग द बिल ऑफ एंट्री, व्हाट वाज द रेट ऑफ कस्टम ड्यूटी? सो देन आई विल कम टू नो दैट here you file the bill of entry, moment you entered into India you must have filed a bill of entry. At this time it was 10% rate, so we will take the custom duty rate as 10%. Simple, no confusion only. The rate prevalent at the time of filing the bill of entry you will take into consideration. A second scenario क्या हो रहा है? I have taken the goods, imported the goods, I have deposited into a warehouse and subsequently removed from home consumption. So I have imported the goods, so maybe I might have filed the bill of entry here only. Bill of entry यहाँ पे 10% था when I deposited in the warehouse. When I remove it from the warehouse, okay, maybe I must have removed it after 6 months. During that time the rate changed and the rate became 20%. So which rate will I take into consideration? So the date of bill of entry or the date of removal from the warehouse? So answer is the date of removal from warehouse will be taken into consideration, because whenever the goods are going directly for home consumption, because जब तुम goods छुड़ा रहे हो ना, जब तुम goods निकाल के लेके जा रहे हो सेल करने के लिए, तभी पे जो रेट है वो रेट तुमको एप्लीकेबल होगा. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे तो कुछ वेयर हाउस का था ही नहीं, तो जो रेट बिल ऑफ एंट्री पे फाइल किया था वही टाइम यहाँ पे व्हेन यू रिमूव द वेयर हाउस से. नाउ पे वन मोर thing you have to pay attention, that when now all this is not given in your book but I am still telling you, you can note it down. When you are removing the goods directly for home consumption, direct home consumption हो रहा है, okay, so यहाँ पे direct home consumption होता है, तो तुमको bill of entry फाइल करते हो. This bill of entry will be in white color. व्हाइट कलर बिल ऑफ एंट्री इज फाइल्ड. कैसे? तुम बैंक में जाते हो तो पिंक येलो रिसीट होती है फॉर विड्रॉवल, पिंक रिसीट होगी फॉर डिपॉजिट, एफडी की व्हाइट रिसीट होगी. वैसे ही बिल ऑफ एंट्री के भी 3 कलर्स होते हैं. सो देयर आर 3 कलर्स फॉर बिल ऑफ एंट्री. वन इज व्हेन इट इज गोइंग डायरेक्टली फॉर होम कंजम्पशन, आई विल फाइल अ व्हाइट बिल ऑफ एंट्री. सो आई विल टेक अ व्हाइट कलर बिल ऑफ एंट्री. when it is going into the warehouse and subsequently home consumption. Okay, so that time a orange color. Okay, so you will take a bill of entry which is of yellow color. Okay, yellow color bill of entry is filed when you are depositing into the warehouse. So when I'm putting the goods, just as a signal, when you're depositing into the warehouse, you will file a into bond bill of entry which is in yellow color. Yellow, ठीक है. Yellow color क्या है? So moment I see the color only, I can make out ki what is going to happen. So when the goods are going to be deposited into the warehouse, that time a bond needs to be signed, a triple value bond, saying that I will deposit into the warehouse, I will pay the duties on it, it's not an offensive good, any kind of penalty I will pay. So that will be in a yellow color bill of entry. This will be in a white color bill of entry. And when I'm removing the goods for directly warehouse goods for home consumption, that time I will again have to file a bill of entry which will be in a green color bill of entry. Green color bill of entry is filed when it is going to be removed from the warehouse for going to the home consumption. Yeah, that clear? So these three things you have to remember bill of entry का. So यहाँ पे when I am filing, ये जब into bond फाइल करे, जब in the warehouse जा रहा है तो into bond, जब यहाँ से निकाल रहा हूँ मैं, ओके, तो ग्रीन कलर फाइल करूंगा which is called as X bond bill of entry. X bond bill of entry. So the rate prevalent at the time of filing the X bond bill of entry will be taken into consideration. So let's simplify it again. Three color of bill of entry. एक है white, एक है yellow, and the other one is green. So when I am going directly for home consumption, direct home consumption, I will file a white color bill of entry. If I am depositing into the warehouse, so it is called as into bond bill of entry when you are depositing in warehouse. And green color is called as your X bond bill of entry when you are removing from warehouse, removal from warehouse. Okay, so all these three colors you have to remember. Can you tell me कि जब directly home consumption के लिए जा रहा है तब we will take the rate prevalent at the time of filing the white color bill of entry. Next, if it is into the warehouse goods, then at the rate prevalent at the time of filing the green color or the X bond bill of entry, that is, it is going to be taken into consideration. So now let's read it again, what provisions they have given. The rate of duty shall be the rate in case when the goods are removed for home consumption when the bill of entry is presented. तो bill of entry जब file कर रहे हो तब लोगे. In case the goods are cleared from a warehouse, then when you file the X bond bill of entry. In case of any other goods, then the date of payment of the duty. So the first two are important. अगर home consumption का है या warehouse goods का है. Okay, so these two cases will be taken. Now, clubbing your section number 14 and 15, I am going to ask you a question after which your concepts will be crystal clear. ठीक है, now I understood बहुत सारा information हो रहा होगा, but एक बार मैं ये sum दूंगा ना तुमको, ये sum से तुम्हारा in and out पूरा पता चल जाएगा. So I'll give you the sum, you need to calculate and tell me what is the answer. Okay, let's say I have imported a machine. I have imported a machine. This machine is worth $50,000. You need to calculate and do it. Okay, it is worth $50,000. Now find custom duty payable. अब तुमको custom duty payable ढूंढना है. Imported machine कितने की है? $50,000. Now this is a table given here that the duty और द रिमूवल ऑफ वेयर हाउस, यहाँ से रिमूवल ऑफ वेयर हाउस से यहाँ पे है एट द फाइलिंग और बिल ऑफ एंट्री. बिल ऑफ एंट्री जब फाइल करो तो डिफरेंट रेट्स आई गिव यू. नाउ व्हेन यू आर फाइलिंग द exchange rate was $1 is equal to rupees 70 and $1 is equal to rupees 65, and here the custom duty rate, the rate of custom duty, okay, was 10% here and 20% here. Can you calculate and give me the answer? I want you to find out the custom duty payable. पहली बात दो ही चीज चाहिए, the value and the rate. Value is given in your section number 14 and rate is given in your section number 15. Section 14 क्या बोलता है? Go as per the transaction value. So the transaction value is 50,000. Proviso क्या बोलता है? That the exchange rate should be taken at the time of filing the bill of entry. सो बिल ऑफ एंट्री जब फाइल किया था तब एक्सचेंज रेट क्या था? 65. तो आई विल कन्वर्ट इट. सो कॉस्ट ऑफ मशीन, यू विल से द कॉस्ट ऑफ मशीन in rupee terms will be how much? Your 50,000 into 65. So you have your 50,000 into 65. So 32 lakhs 50,000. So ये कितना आ जाएगा? 32 lakhs 50,000 रुपीस की मशीन है, yes or no? $50,000 at the exchange rate when you was 65 rupees. So I multiplied $1 is 65. So 50,000 is how much? So you'll come to know it's 32 lakhs 50,000. Now this is the value I got. This I came to know the value as per section 14. Now I want the rate of custom duty. Which rate will I take? Rate of custom duty. ये rate किस में दिया रहता है? Rate is in the case of section number 15. So the rate prevalent at the time of removal from warehouse. Will I take this at the time of filing the bill of entry? No, I'll take the time of removal from warehouse. So that time it was 10%. तो यहाँ पे भी कितना आएगा? 10%. Accordingly, we will say that it is 32,000 is the custom duty payable. Rupees 32,000, 32,500. यहाँ तक clear? So this is how you find out the custom duty payable, keeping in mind the exchange rate and the rate of duty. Okay, so with this we finished our section number 14 and our section number 15. Now come into your section number 16. Section number 16 is not that much important, but you should know both section 14 and 15. 14, so I'll just write down the section 14, 15 and 16. 14 spoke about the value for imported goods, how to compute the value. 15 spoke about the rate for imported goods, rate of duty, and 16 talks about the value and rate for exported goods, okay. So section 14 and 15 talks about imported goods, whereas this talks about एक्सपोर्टेड गुड्स. तो अभी देखते हैं एक्सपोर्ट के केस में वैल्यू एंड रेट क्या लेना है. बहुत ही सिंपल है ये. सो सेक्शन नंबर 16 says that the rate and the value for exported goods shall be the rate and value in force in case of the goods are entered for export. So when the goods are entered for export, the date on which the proper officer makes an order permitting clearance and loading of goods for exportation. So when the proper officer orders clearance for exportation, तो उस दिन पे rate, what is the rate of duty and the value prevalent on that day will be taken into consideration. ओके मतलब क्या, इसका बहुत ही सिंपल आंसर है कि जब बोले ना लेके जाओ यहाँ से एक्सपोर्टेड गुड्स, तो जब भी प्रॉपर ऑफिसर ने बोला आप यहाँ से लेके जा सकते हो, तो उस दिन पे क्या रेट और वैल्यू चल रहा है, एक्सचेंज रेट क्या चल रहा है और रेट ऑफ ड्यूटी क्या चल रहा है, वो लेंगे हम लोग. तो एक एग्जाम्पल देखते हैं इससे. ओके, नाउ यू नीड टू टेल मी व्हाट इट इज. ललित export house exported some goods to Germany. The invoice value of the goods exported was 45 lakhs. तो goods export किया उसने 45 lakhs का, but it was assessed by the customs appraiser at 50 lakh rupees. So अगर मैं बोल रहा हूँ 45 lakhs, but custom officer से नहीं ये 45 lakhs का मान लें, ये 50 lakhs का है. So obviously if the customs authority have valued at 50 lakhs, then the value will be 50 lakhs only. Because he might be thinking you're undervaluing the goods. So he has kept it as 50 lakh rupees. The shipping bill was presented. Now shipping bill is like an export bill, but when you're sending it through waterways on 23/17. However, the proper officer ordered clearance on 9th April 2017. Compute the export duty payable by Lalit if the export duty rate, the rate of export duty was 9% on 23, तो ये 28/3/70 फिर 9% था, and 10% on 9/4/2017. तो देखो जब ऑर्डर ऑफ क्लियरेंस किया था, ऑर्डर ऑफ क्लियरेंस तभी ये डेट था, उस दिन पे कौन सा रेट चल रहा था, 10%. सो वी विल ऑल्सो टेक 10%. सो वी विल से दैट द वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स विल बी 50 lakh rupees because that was the customs authorities have decided, and then the export duty rate will be the rate when he ordered clearance, and that time the rate was 10%. So we came to know it will be 5 lakh rupees. So I hope this is cleared your section 14, 15 and 16. 16 में क्या बोला था, you see the order of clearance कब मिला. इसमें क्या बोला, अगर warehouse goods हैं तो at the time of removal of warehouse you will take the rate of duty, otherwise you will take at the time of filing bill of entry, and this time what you will take the transaction value, and the exchange rate, foreign exchange rate will be at the time of filing bill of entry. I hope these three important points are cleared. Once this is cleared, then we can move ahead to the customs valuation rules 2007.